So, magandang araw. Ngayon, we are going optimizing performance for a database instances part 1. Exercise 1, working with TempPD database. Task 1, configure the TempPD database to optimize the performance. In this task, you will perform the following operation by executing certain system queries in the TempPDB database. First, view the size of the TempDB database and the file growth parameters. Second, monitor the disk space of the TempDB database using the sy.dm db file space usage dynamic management view. Determine the amount of free space in the TempDB database. The last one, determine the list of active transactions and the longest running transaction in the database. Step 1, ensure you have powered on the required devices and the connect to PLabSQL01. So, naka-on na siya. Step 2, from the PLabSQL01 desktop, click Start. So, click natin na Start. Then, Microsoft Servers 2016. Then, Management Studio. Microsoft Server Management Studio. So, wait lang natin. Excuse me. To connect to server, dialog box appears. From the server type, drop-down list, click Database Engine. Then, in the server name text box, type PLabSQL01. So, ito siya. Then, click Connect. The SQL Server Management Studio window opens. In the Object Explorer, click to expand the database folder. Databases. To select the database from the list of databases, click to expand System Databases. Right-click TempDB and from the context menu, click Properties. Right-click, then Properties. The database properties TempDB dialog box appears in the left pane. So left pane. Under Select Page, click Option. In the right pane, ensure that the recovery model is set to simple. Recovery model. So, ito, naka-simple na siya. Click OK to close the dialog box. Step 6, to create a new query from the queryable, click New Query. The query pane opens. Oh, wait lang. To view the temp PD database size and file growth parameters, type the following query in the new query page, or copy this query. This is a system query. The query displays the file name, file size, growth value, and growth increment. Step 7. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click New Query. Type the following query in the new query pane or copy this query. This query is a system query. The query displays the free space and free pages available in TempDB database. The free space is calculated in megabytes. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click New Query. Then type the following query in the new query pane or copy this query. This query is a system query. The query determines the longest running transaction. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and result set is displayed. Note the result is dynamic in nature and can differ in production environment. Close all query windows without saving the queries. Next, exercise 2, working with dynamic management views. Dynamic management views, or DMVs, provide server state information that helps to monitor the database, diagnose, and troubleshoot problems. DMVs are present in the SYS schema. The DMVs begin with DM. In the exercise, you will learn to work with dynamic management views. Task 1. Obtain information on weight statistics. Step 1. In the Object Explorer, under System Databases, click Master. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click New Query. Then type the following query in the new query pane or copy this query. This query is a system query executed in the master database. The query displays the weight type details, weighting, task count, and so on. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. So ito siya. To create new query from the query ribbon, click New Query. Then type the following query in the new query pane or copy this query. So this query is a system query. The query determines the amount of signal wait time from the total wait time. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Note the result is dynamic in nature and can differ in a production environment. Step 5. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click New Query. Type the following query in the new query pane or copy this query. This is a system query. In this query, the DMV displays the currently active or block waiting task along with the duration, resource, and wait type. There is an inner join created for sys.dm express DMV on blocking connection dot session ID. The cross-apply operator is used for sys.dm SQL text. The query determines the identify of the block and blocking session and displays the details. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Task 2. Monitor and analyze storage and I/O issues. In this task, you will use the SYSDM I/O virtual file stats DMV monitor and analyze storage and I/O issues. In SQL Server databases, you will perform the following operations by executing the system queries. First, determine the busiest file in the database. Second, determine the amount of the data traffic in the database. Last one, monitor the page IOLAT to check the I/O bottlenecks. Task 1, Step 1, to create a new query in the master database. Then from the query ribbon, click New Query. Type the following query in the new query pane or copy this query. This is a system query. The data is retrieved from sys.dmio virtual file stats.dmv. This is query will help to determine the busiest database in terms of data input and output. The query displays the file statistics for each database file along with the input or output information for reads, writes, and total. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Step 2. To view all the columns in the result set, scroll horizontally from left to right in the result pane. So, Step 3. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click New Query. Type the following query in the new query pane or copy this query. This is a system query. The query determines the amount of data traffic for each file in the selected database. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. So ito. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click New Query. Then type the following query in the new query pane. This is a system query. The SYSDM OS wait stats DMV is queried. The query displays the latch wait statistics such as wait types, waiting tasks, count, and so on. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. So ito, naka-display. Close all the query windows without saving the queries. So, close natin. Step 5 in the Object Explorer, right-click PLAB Scale 01. From the context menu, click Activity Monitor. The Activity Monitor pane opens. Click Data File, I/O. Notice the details that are displayed. Close the Activity Window pane. Step 7. To generate the I/O report in the Object Explorer, right-click PLAB Scale 01. From the context menu, click Reports. Reports. Then Standard Reports. Then Reports, Standard Reports, and Performance. Top queries by total I/O. So then, step 8, the report is generated and displayed. Read the view at the report information. So ito siya. Close all the panes. Next. Exercise 3, working with Memory Manager. The Memory Manager component of the SQL Server dynamically determines the allocation of memory for the database. There are many server configuration options to set up the memory usage, such as index, create memory, min server memory, max worker threads, min memory per query, and so on. Task 1. Optimize the memory configuration. In this task, you will determine the current memory allocation by executing system queries. You will set a fixed amount of memory for SQL Server based on the total memory available. You will finally generate a memory consumption report that lists the top memory consuming components in the database. Step 1. In the Object Explorer, under System Databases, click Master. To create new query from the query boom, click New Query. So, new query. Type the following query in the new query pane or copy this query. This is a system query. The query determines the current memory allocation in the selected database. To run the query, click Execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click New Query. Then type the following query in the new query pane or copy this query. This is a system query. The query displays the object names, counter names, and counter values for the respective objects. To run the query, click Execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Close all query panes without saving the queries. So, close natin. Hindi natin siya i-save. Step 3 in the Object Explorer, right-click PLAB SQL 01. So, right-click. From the context menu, click Properties. Step 4, the server properties. PLAB SQL01 dialog box appears in the left pane under select page. Click memory. To set the maximum SQL Server memory as 4 GB, in the right pane, in the maximum server memory in MB, box type, i-type natin to or copy na lang. Then, click OK. Step 5, in the Object Explorer, right-click PLAB SQL01. Right-click natin. From the context menu, click Reports. Wait lang. Reports, then Standard Reports. Then, Memory Consumption. So, ito, Memory Consumption. The memory consumption report is generated and displayed in the right pane. So, ito. Naka-display siya. Step 7. To view the memory usage by consumption, scroll down the memory consumption report pane. So, then, yun lang po. Close natin tong window. Close window. Yun lang po. Summary, you covered all the following activities in this module. First, working with TempDB database. Second, work with dynamic management views. And the last one, working with memory manager. So, that's all.